Hi all. This is the second video where I created a professional React application. This application will be part of an upcoming course of mine. You can find a link to the waitlist in the description. There's a previous video where I set up this application as a Next.js app with professional tooling that uses, for example, ESLint, Prettier, TypeScript, Cypress for testing, Storybook, and style components. This time I want to set up the continuous integration pipeline with GitHub Action. Maybe first we can have a look what continuous integration is. Let's have a short look. By the way, this video will be basically unedited. I want to show you the whole process, not just the polished outcome. So yeah, you may have to wait a bit for some things. So integration, let's see what Google says about this. Continuous integration is the practice of automating the integration of code changes from multiple contributors into a single software project. So this means you have a team of developers and all of them work on one repository. Now it's important to get all the code from these developers into the main branch, into the main or master branch. And not to introduce a lot of bugs, we always try to run some checks on the code. For example, tests, linting, code formatting, stuff like this. So this way we reduce the risk that we introduce regressions, bugs, whatever. Yeah, so there are different tools for this. And one is GitHub Actions, which is pretty easy to integrate with GitHub, obviously. There are other tools like Cypress and yeah, others. But GitHub Actions is very easy to use. So first of all, everything is based on this blog post and video that I published recently, where we'll go through these tools and yeah, just check that everything works. Yeah, so the first thing we have to do is that we set up a GitHub repository. I already have this application here and a repository on my local machine, but now I want to create a new repository on GitHub and push my code there. So this is my organization where I will also create the course, but you can use your private GitHub account. So the name here I used already, prolog app. No description. I will make it public for now at least. Yeah. So I create a repository. Since I already have the local repository here, I can use this command. So what will this do? It will first add the remote URL. Then it will move the main branch. I'm not sure what this does actually. And then it will continue by pushing the code from the main branch to the GitHub repository. Okay, perfect. Now let's refresh. Yeah, great. Our code is here. So the first thing that's important is that in a team of developers, you would typically not push directly to the main branch. So this is something that you might be used to when you work alone on your own projects, but it can become very chaotic if everybody pushes to the main branch, and there will be lots of conflicts and stuff like this. So the easiest way to prevent pushes to the main branch is if we have branch protection enabled. So we went on settings, branches, and now the default branch is main. That's good. Now I want to add a rule to protect the main branch. So we will require a pull request before merging. In this case, I work alone on this project, so I don't want any approvals, but in a team this is pretty typical. Yeah, dismiss stale pull request approvals. When new commits are pushed, this is also pretty typical in a team. So if somebody approved your code and you push something, you might need another approval. The rest is not really important for us now. Yeah, we will need this later on once we have our first CI pipeline set up, but we will check it for now. Require linear history. I like this as well. So when you merge a branch into the main branch, you have different strategies, and one is just the normal merge. I guess it's called forward merge. I'm not sure. And this one will create a merge conflict, merge commit, and basically add all the commits to the main branch as well. And if we enable this, we won't be able to do merge commits, but we have to either rebase the branch on the main branch, or we squash merge the branch. If you're interested in this, I have a separate course about Git. Let's check this. I will also add the link to the description. So here's the course. You can actually find a lot of information about branch protection and the whole workflow with GitHub here in this course. But yeah, so we will squash merge our commits, and then we don't want to allow force pushes or other things. So include administrators, yeah, that's nice for me as well. Otherwise, I would be able to, as the administrator, I would be able to push to the main branch. Okay, so let's create this branch protection rule. Now let me demonstrate what happens next. So let's add another thing here. Just this exclamation mark. I'm on the main branch, as you can see here. So now let's commit add exclamation mark. So I can push the button here, but let me do it by the CLI. Git push origin main. So now we would expect that the code change, this exclamation mark, would also show up here later. But if everything went fine. So here we have an error, failed to push some refs to GitHub, because the branch is protected. So this means we can't push this commit directly. What we have to do is first I will reset the change, or let me first check out another branch, -b, and then just test branch. Okay. And let me also go back to main. Oh, sorry, git check out main. Git reset head. So this just removes the last commit from. I could have added the hard option to delete the changes, but yeah. So now our history is doesn't contain the last commit that we had here. And if I check out the other branch, it was test branch, I hope, yes. The commit should show up here. And yeah. Okay, so let's push the branch. Origin and what is it, test branch. Okay, cool. As you can see, here's already a button to create a pull request. You can also alternatively click here. This also works. It's pretty nice if you don't have the UI open here. And yeah, just let's create this pull request here. Okay, cool. So now the way that we get this code change into the main branch is by pressing squash and merge here. We could also use the rebase and merge command, or this one is disabled, the merge commit, the default. This one, if we had 2 commits, it would just squash them together, and we would only have 1 commit in the main branch. Yeah, so I will keep this open for now, just to show you how this will look like when we have continuous integration in place as well. So the next step is to set up GitHub Actions. We can do that here. We can also check the docs first. I had a look at the docs already, and they are pretty extensive. Yeah, it's we don't need all of this. If you're do DevOps or something, then this is a nice place to go. But for me, even it's pretty overwhelming, although I already have worked with it. So the easiest way is to just click here on actions, and then we can actually set up an action already. Yeah, so Webpack, we will take the Node.js action. This will allow us to run npm scripts. So let's configure this one. As you can see, we have a default file here. This is already pretty nice because it's a great starting point. And in theory, we could also commit the file changes here, but I don't really want to use this this UI. So what I will do is create a file here. I'm actually not sure if, let's try. I'm not sure if we can add the actions here to this pull request, but let's see. I will create a new folder, or let's create a new file directly. So this is .github/workflows. It's important that the name is right here, so otherwise I guess the actions won't run. So it's .github/workflows and then /main YAML. Okay, perfect. Now let's remove this. Continuous integration, the short name is just CI. Let's keep it like this, okay. What does this do? So this on, minus it even gives hints here. This just tells me that when we push directly to the main branch, which is at the moment not possible, but we can still keep it, or if branches that pull requests that target the main branch. When we push to such pull request, then these jobs will run. And now let's check. This job is called build, and it uses a Docker image, which is like a virtual machine. And this is Ubuntu, the latest Ubuntu version. There we have a matrix. I'm actually not sure which I would like to use, not the very newest one, but 14. Usually doesn't matter that much, but okay, let's keep it like this. But having multiple versions here is a bit can cause errors. Depends on what you use for your hosting. That should be the version here. And now we have multiple steps. The first one is that it checks out the code. GitHub Actions, these actions are basically predefined things. You can also use create your own custom actions, but yeah, we won't need much of this. So I'm not even sure if we need this, but let's keep it like this. Then the next step is npm CI. This is basically similar to npm install, so it just installs all dependencies, but here it strictly installs only packages that are mentioned in package.log, package-log.json. This has the advantage that you always have the same dependencies installed for each run, and otherwise, maybe like if you run it next week, there might be one package, one different package version, and then your build might break because of that. npm run build if present. I'm not sure what that means, but this is the build. We can check the here. This is our build script, so it basically builds the application. This is quite nice, so we at least know that everything works. I suppose it also checks if TypeScript, if all types are valid. We can try that out in a bit. npm run test, we don't have that yet, so we will have to remove it, but we have lint. So let's add the lint command here. Okay, so this looks okay. Let me add this file, sets up. Actually, I would like to do this in a different branch. Git checkout main. I have some shortcuts here installed. So this would mean checkout -b. And now GitHub Actions. Sets up CI. So now I'll just use the tools that VS Code gives me. Now we should have another pull request. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, here it runs. We can check the details here. So this is basically the Actions tab here. And as you can see, it steps through each of the steps we have defined here. So first it sets up the job, then it checks out the code, and uses Node.js, and now it installs all the dependencies. This usually takes some time. Maybe we should actually move this lint command a bit higher, because it's typically a bit faster than the build. Yeah, so unfortunately this takes a bit of time. What we can already do, as you can see in this blog post, so we have TypeScript ESLint. I assume for now that the types are also checked already by the build, but we have to verify that. Prettier also, I have it enabled here as in the settings to format on autosave. It was enabled at least. Let's enable it again. Prettier and format on save. Okay, now Prettier actually also has some changes here. I'm not sure if we should add this. I will leave it for now. Yeah, I will commit it also to the repository at the moment. But yeah, as you saw here, for example, the Prettier already formatted the code. It would be nice, like, that everybody sticks to the same conventions, formatting conventions, and that everybody is forced to use Prettier. Because currently, if somebody else would be working on this repository and didn't have Prettier installed, then they could still check in the code to the repository. One way to do that is to use the Prettier CLI. Let me turn this off. Here we can auto format the code. This will be a bit more difficult because we would need to automatically create new commits, but we can use the check command to verify that everything is working. So we would just run Prettier check. Currently, if you like this, it doesn't work because it's not installed, but we can add it to the commands here. Check format, it's called like this, and then Prettier check. Now this still won't run because it's not in our dependencies. Check format. Okay, seems like it worked, but I think it shouldn't work. I will anyways install it in the dev dependencies. And then probably we need to check, we need to add a folder or something. Sorry. Okay, so this should actually should be okay. We have some files that we might want to ignore. Let's check Prettier ignore. So we can use pretty ignore file. I guess I didn't copy this. Prettier ignore, and then we can just ignore .next. And what else did it complain about? We can quickly fix these. Cypress. Okay. So VS Code settings. This is also .VS Code, I guess. .VS Code. Okay. Now I hope it doesn't complain anymore. Storybook.main. Okay. This is also. Could be formatted. Okay, perfect. So now we're fine. I will create a separate commit. So first this doesn't really belong to this branch, but I don't mind. We can actually also just git ignore it, and then VS Code. Okay. So let's add prettier format script, and now we will format the files. Format files. And finally, we can also use the prettier command here, run npm run, and don't remember what we called the script. Check format, okay. npm run, check format. So now we have, we install the dependencies, we run the linter, we run prettier, and then we run the build. As runs check format in CI. So let's check. Okay. And now I have a suspicion already that this didn't work. So npm run lint didn't run. Okay. Yeah. This is npm run lint. So fixes lint stack. Okay. So now let's check. Okay. Seems like everything went fine here. Now, what we can do is add a lint error. Then you can see that equals b. Now we have lint error here because the variable is declared but not used. So just for testing purposes, let's run the CI again. So you can see this one was complete, it worked. Now this runs again and we will check in a bit. The next one that we can do is just use the check if Prettier is actually working. So I will disable format on save for now, and this should create a warning. Yes, so yeah, this is the warning. Then can push this, breaks Prettier. So now I triggered already the next step, but so this one broke. This was the one where we broke ESLint, and yeah, so the lint stub complains. Now for the next time thing, Prettier should complain. I'm not sure if this will work because this is just a warning and not an error, but we can adjust that later probably. And then finally, yes, okay, perfect. So this complains and breaks the CI. Now, as you can see, we can still squash and merge. I would like to fix that. We have the branches here, branch protection. Now, once the CI ran, we can actually enable this, so CI. Okay, maybe we can do that only later, but let's continue and get the CI setup done. The final thing that I would like to do is to install to run Cypress in the CI. We can find some examples here in the documentation of Cypress. So this is like explanation, GitHub Actions, okay, basic setup. Okay, so this is what we need. Seems like this is what is required. Check format, I will use it here. We can remove this. Now I'm actually not sure if we need to build again, because we already built once here. And then npm start. So let's run this once on the local machine, just to check. Yeah, so here's also checking validity of types, which is cool. And now npm start. And now we have the app running at localhost 3000. Okay, perfect. Now I will stop this and this should now actually work. This should run Cypress. Maybe as a reminder, in the last video, I already showed this, but we can check it again. So Cypress is this nice little tool to write tests, especially end-to-end tests. And what happens on the local machine, such a UI will pop up, and then we can run the integration test. And the great thing is that you can really easily debug everything, because here you can see how the page looks like and what's happening here. So here we get the H1 and then check if it contains this welcome to Prolog text. So inside the CI, it won't obviously open this UI, but it will just check without, it will run all the tests without the UI and fail if something went wrong. So now that we have Cypress set up, let's commit the changes. Add Cypress to CI, sync changes. Okay, so here we still have our Prettier run, which is fixed now, hopefully. No, actually not. Let me enable the format, auto format again. Format, save. Okay. Now fix format. Okay, so this one is running. Let's hope that everything works out. Okay, now it's running npm run build. And the test passed. So this is cool. Now everything worked. I am curious if the build command is actually necessary. Let's see. Remove duplicate build command. And execute again, okay. Cool. Yeah, so we got rid of one build command. This saves us some time. So now the pull request seems to be ready. What I will do now is hit the squash and merge button. I'll just remove all of this, sets up CI. And now what will happen is that all these commits, like fixed format, we don't really want these in the main branch, right? Because these are just test commits. We could, in theory, get rid of them by rewriting the local Git history, but we can also just squash everything together into one commit, as we will do now. Remember all these commits. Now, in the main branch, check the commits. It's only one. And nicely, it also links to the PR. So, like, every time, if something breaks, if we introduce a bug, we know where it comes from. Okay, so we have the CI running here now, and we still have our adds exclamation mark pull request. Just as a reminder, this was just like adding an exclamation mark here. But I hope that this will actually break the CI, so we can see that we are protected against some regression bugs, introducing bugs. And as you saw also, we are protected by the linter, by the formatting, and also the types. So we're kind of secure at this point already. Let's again check the branch protection because it's still not enabled. We can still merge pull requests even though the status checks haven't passed. Okay, the smart thing here is to just step away, let it be, and try it out another time. So it's a new day, and I finally found the problem. When I tried to find the status check, I was always looking for the name CI, but as you can see in the workflow file here, this is the name of the workflow, and the name of the job is build. We actually need to use the name of the job. So pretty simple mistake, which can cost you a few hours. So now I checked the require status checks option here, and I selected the build status check. Now let's save this. And return to the pull request, adds exclamation mark. So now let's break the Cypress test on purpose. So the Cypress test, just as a reminder, it checks for the text welcome to Prolog in the H1. Here's the H1, and if we replace this by hi, this is Prolog, for example, this should break. So change H1. Of course, the name of the pull request is not correct anymore, but that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. The workflow file for our GitHub Actions doesn't exist on this branch, but only on the main branch. I'm not sure if I did that already. Push origin test branch. Okay, no. Cool. And now this runs. Remember, we purposefully broke the Cypress test, so kind of to simulate bug regression. Let's open this. So Cypress runs and should fail now. Yeah. So it took a bit, but Cypress Let's see. Cypress always waits for a timeout period because text or content could appear asynchronously. So here it waits for 4 seconds and then it complains that the welcome to Prolog text is not there. So now let's check the pull request again. As you can see, required statuses must pass before merging. So this is the setting that we just enabled in the branch protection rules here, the required status checks. And as you can see, we cannot merge currently. So we first have to fix either the test or the content here. So let's change the text to hi, this is Prolog, and then exclamation mark. We could run this as well here, but we can also just directly commit and push it. Fix this test. And again, git push origin test branch. And again, after a few minutes of waiting, the checks pass, and we can now press the squash merge button. So now we have the repository set up with a CI pipeline using GitHub Actions, as well as branch protection. This will help us to enforce a proper Git workflow, and at the same time, we'll check all the all the code that we commit to the main branch with a linter, with Prettier for code formatting, and also run tests on it. So we're kind of secure now, at least more secure to not introduce new bugs to the code base. As a last step, I would like to use a tool called Husky. This tool is used to run some checks on your local machine already before you push the commits to the remote repository on GitHub. You can kind of think of it like form validation on the front end and form validation on the back end. I would like to think of it this way. So with Husky, you can check all the run the linter and Prettier on the local machine before you commit the code, and then when you push it to the GitHub repository inside the PR, these checks and some additional checks maybe run on GitHub. So let's check first Husky. Okay, Husky is a pretty, it's a dog, of course. Husky.js, this looks more promising. So here you can see, once we install Husky, we can add a section in the package.json. There's a new section called prepare. And this will allow us to run certain things like npm test, for example. Now, as far as I know, this will run the commands on all the code. But if we assume that the code has already been checked, like the existing code in the GitHub repository has already been linted or tested, then we don't need to run the linter on all of the code. So there's another nice tool, which is called lint-staged, I guess. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And as you can see, this tool runs the linters on git staged files. So this is only the files that you want to commit and not everything. So basically it runs the linters on the changes, on the file changes. So let's see how we set it up. The first way is okay. Okay, cool. So you can see there's a .husky file. Oh, I actually made a mistake here. I'm not sure. Let's. I still have the main branch, but I guess I forgot to pull the changes. This is a very common mistake. So let's stash the changes first. Include all, I guess. Keep index, include untracked. So this will, let me explain. First, git stash, this will stash all the files, file changes, for example, package log.json and package.json. So as you can see, but it doesn't stash the file changes for files that haven't been yet committed. So let's undo, let's pop this stash. So we have these changes again. Now git stash dash, what was it? Key include untracked. Okay. Okay, this still seems to be there. Anyways, that's not so important. Now let's change. Okay, cool. Okay, so we get conflicts. I would rather start the command again. Abort. Oh, damn it. I git stash abort maybe. Let's see. Git stash abort. These are things that you don't run into regularly. Okay. Let's check the history first. Sets up CI. Okay, with hard resetting, you always have to be a bit careful, but this just resets all the changes to the current head, and the current head is sets up CI. So perfect. Then let's remove all the changes, delete files. Okay, and this is also okay. We don't need that. And now let's start over. Should be a bit faster now. Okay, cool. So now this is set up to run on all. Yeah, so what you can see here is that we have some .husky, a .husky folder, and then there's some stuff inside. This is probably just a Husky script. It's a bash script. Then this, yeah, I don't know. It's not so important to understand the details here. It's may also be, so this folder is actually excluded in the git.ignore file. And then we have the file changes in the package.json. So as you can see, we have a prepare script now, Husky install, okay. And then we have the Husky package, the lint-staged package, and then we have a new section here in the package.json file called lint-staged. And now this seems to listen to, or to watch JS files. I'm not sure if let's see, because we have a TypeScript project. I'm not sure if this will run on the TypeScript files. Okay, so first let's create a new branch. Check out -b, and then set up commit hooks. And now we can already commit this. Installed lint-staged. And now the next thing, let's test this. So we can, my favorite lint problem, can run this. Now if we run git commit -a is for committing all, and -m is the message. Break linter. Now let's see what happens. Okay, this no staged files. Okay, so we didn't stash, but we directly committed everything. Seems like it doesn't run then. Let's undo the commit with a reset. Now if we first git add stage the changes. Okay, we can still, sorry, that was wrong. Let's reset again. Git add and git commit -m, and then break linter. Yeah, sure. That's exactly what I wanted to test, right? I wanted to test if the TSX file is also included in the pre-commit hook. It seems that it's not, because in every case this the checks passed. So let's TS and then I'm not sure again. Lint. This is a regular expression, so it's I'm always a bit afraid to do something wrong. So here's a blog post. Let's see if they have something for us. Okay, so this looks pretty much like a regular expression. Let's see, TS, then TSX, can also include JS. JSX, doesn't matter. So, and here, let's do the same. CSS, we don't really have CSS files here. MD files also not for now. Okay. Anyways, let's leave it like it is. So now first let's add this one here. Actually, we can include TS files in pre-commit hook. And now let's try again. First we add, then we commit. You see, now it's working. Now let's do the ESLint cache. Not sure where this comes from. But let's first unstage this one. Unstage, and then let's run the git commit -all without staging, and now it runs as well. So now it seems that we're fine. Not sure what is lint cache. I would guess that we shouldn't commit this, so let's here's lint cache git ignore. Seems like a okay, looks like this should be there. Cache file makes sense that we added. Adds .ESLint cache to git ignore. Okay, so looks like the linter works. Now let's check again. For testing purposes, I will disable the format on save again, so Prettier doesn't run automatically. So this would now, Prettier would fix this usually. So let's try again, breaks. And this should now commit. But before it commits, it should fix this. So let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, this actually makes sense because once Prettier fixed this line, there's nothing to commit anymore. Okay, I'm not sure why I didn't write, but we can just discard the changes, and obviously it didn't commit this. So let's push this branch, publish branch, and go back to our app. Runs linter and prettier on staged files. Now some people might also add tests. For example, if you have unit tests or other integration tests with React testing library, some people might also add these to the pre-commit hooks, but I don't think this is really necessary. We run the tests already in the CI pipeline, and tests usually take a longer time to run. So it is a bit annoying to have them run on every commit. I had this in one former project of mine, and what I ended up doing was all the time git commit and then no verify. This will skip all the commit hooks, so you can still work around the lint check and the Prettier run on the local machine and just commit directly. This is also the reason why I think it's still necessary to include the linter and the Prettier check in the CI. But yeah, so I don't think it's necessary to run the tests in the pre-commit hooks. There's also another thing that some people like to do, to run a linter on the commit message. This can be really nice. So you can see here that this will in the end run the linter on the commit messages. And where can we find more information? So I guess this is a good link here. Conventional commits. Yeah, so here you always have to define a type, which is like a fix or feature, and then scope and the description, and then some optional body and a footer. So commit messages would always look like this, which is nice if all of these pop up in the main branch, but as you saw before, we squash and merge all the pull requests, so I don't think we actually need this kind of format for all the files. It would be nice to have this enforced for the squash merged pull request. For example, here feature. So this is the commit message. We could something like this, or chore, because it's not really a feature, and then have the here's the body and the footer here. I'm not sure how to set this up, and I don't find it that valuable at the moment, but you might want to set it up this way. Anyways, let's squash and merge this. So now we have it in the main branch. Again, we only have one commit, which links to the pull request. And now, before we forget, let's check out the main branch again. Check out main, git pull origin main. Okay, perfect. Now we also have the pre-commit hooks here. Okay, this is it for now. As I said, the application that I'm developing here will be part of a new upcoming course of mine. You can think of it as a simulator for a real React developer job. What that means is that the whole project will be developed by you on top of this existing code base that I'm developing at the moment. And we'll build an error tracking tool similar to Sentry. And everything will be based on these designs. So here you can see an example. We will have a UI kit here with similar, simple components like buttons, inputs, toggles, and so on. Here you can see different states of the navigation bar. So this is really to simulate a really professional project with designs and tasks. And as you can see, also professional workflows with Git and GitHub and all these CI and pre-commit hooks. I will drop a link to the waitlist for the course if you're interested in the description, and thanks for watching.